guys, Loot Wizard here with another video on Gems of War, and this time I want to cover the fast start classes. In the recent update, we got an exciting change, which was we can use classes freely without having to spend 50 gems to change our class or wait 24 hours for a free change, which is really exciting because now we can change the class anytime we want for any particular team that we set up. And so some of these hero classes and their weapons are suited for a particular type of troop, which now we can change it and make up all those teams that we want with no extra costs, which is exciting. So in this video I just wanted to cover what classes can start with 50% mana. I won't be really going over which classes I think are the best in this video. I just wanted to share quickly which ones start at 50%, because generally those are the classes that you want to start out with. The other ones do have their uses, but the ones that start with 50% mana definitely are the ones that you will probably use most often, especially as you're leveling up and starting out in the game. So let's start here at the beginning, and I need to do this here, and I'll scroll over. Oh, I did something I shouldn't have done. Anyway, let's start at Archer here. Archer is the first class here, and you do have to trade it. It's the second trait. Then it starts battles with 50% mana. Archer class is a pretty decent class. It does, if you fully trade it, it has 15% chance for skull damage to be lethal. It does also have some talents early on, like here once you reach the 10th level, Root Trap. It entangles the first enemy at the start of the battle. So that entangle means that the opponent will have their attack reduced to 0. So Archer is actually a pretty good class. Starts with 50% mana. Let's go back. Assassin, unfortunately, I do not know any way where this one can start with 50% mana. It is, in fact, a Naga troop once you level it up past level 10. And there is no other extra troops in the Nagas that allow for a 50% mana start. There is no mana source talent which allows it to start at 50%, and there's nothing in its traits either. Bard, which is a really good troop, or not troop, but a really good hero class. Once fully traded, all yellow allies gain 1% to stats at the start of each turn, which is really helpful. But it does start at 50% mana once you have it to level 20 and you select Mana Source as a talent. So it will not start at 50% mana until you get it to level 20 and select Mana Source. But it does have that option. Death Knight, there is no way for this one to start. It is classified as an undead. And there's nothing in its traits, nothing in its talents that will allow it to start at 50% mana. Dragon Guard, this is also a pretty decent class, but for the purpose of this video, there is no way for it or any dragons to start at 50% mana. If they do release a class, another one for dragons, or they release a troop in the future that makes dragons start at 50% mana, dragons will see a huge boost in power, and they're already pretty powerful, so I don't know if they're ever going to do that. Frost Mage class, this one does start at 50% mana. It is not in the traits though, it is in the talents, and it is unlocked at level 20 when you select Mana Source. And Frost Mage isn't, I'll just really quick here cover a few things that I think make Frost Mage pretty decent. Freezes an enemy at the start of the battle. It's decent. Obviously the 50% mana is great. It does have reduced damage from spells by 20%. It does have Submerge on 4 and 5 matches where it will submerge a random ally, which Submerge basically allows you to dodge any kind of spell damage that's split or supposed to hit all of your troops. Then at level 70, it has Lightning Strike, which is a good talent because it explodes 1 yellow gem on 4 or 5 matches, which keeps the board moving. Other than that, it's not incredibly a powerful class, except for Freeze. That does come in handy, especially against like goblins and troops that get a lot of extra turns. But that one is also starting at 50% mana. The Knight does not start at 50% mana. It has no traits or talents that allows it to do so. There are no support troops that allow it to do so either. The Mechanist does start at 50% mana, and it is because it is considered a mech troop, or a mech hero, and all mechs start it with 50% mana. So this is actually pretty good because all of your mech troops will start at 50% mana if this hero is placed in the team. So the mech hero is actually pretty useful and can be powerful in certain situations. The Necromancer, there is no traits here, but there is a talent, Mana Source, which is unlocked at level 20, which allows you to start at 50%. So there's that. Oracle, which I believe is classified as a centaur. Yep. And there is currently no way for centaurs to start at 50% mana. And this particular hero has no talents, has no traits. They're allowed to start at 50%. Orbweaver. There's no traits here or talents either for it to start at 50% mana. It is classified as an elf, which elves, there's no support troops that allow those to start at 50% mana that I know of. If I'm wrong, please post a comment, because Orbweaver, this is on my list for leveling up this and trading this, because this is a really annoying class to fight against, because this trait here, 50% chance to summon a giant spider when I take damage. And as you know, giant spiders also have a summoning ability as well. Plus, if you trait this, it is immune to Mana Burn, Mana Drain, and Mana Steal. So it's a pretty decent hero class. It just doesn't start with 50% mana. Now, we're going to get into a few heroes here where support troops are necessary for them to start at 50% mana. So, the Priest does not have any traits of itself or talents that allow it to start, doesn't have mana source, doesn't start at 50% mana by itself. Now, there is a way, though, for it to start with some mana. It's actually 40% instead of 50%, and that is with a troop. If I go to Divine, and we're looking for Divine Ishbala, all Divine start battle with 40% mana. So, for example, if you put Ishbala in there, and we go back to class, and we have Priest assigned to it, because the Priest is considered a Divine troop. Troop type is Divine. So, it will start at 40% mana with that in there. So if I go here, explore, where was I? Right here. Start battle. And as you can see, it starts at 40% mana. If it was 50%, I would have 10 mana in there, half a 20, but instead, since it's 40% because of this. So the Priest can start with 40% mana if you have Divine Ishbala in with that, in with your hero. If it's not in there, then it won't start with that mana. So there's that. So let's go on to the next class, which is the Rune Priest. Now, there is nothing in the traits or the talents for the Rune Priest to start at 50% mana, but it's in a similar situation to the Priest, because the Rune Priest here, let me go in here, it is considered a dwarf. So there is a dwarf troop. I believe it is King Highforge, and it allows all. Where is he? Right here, King Highforge. All dwarves start battle with 50% mana. So as long as you have King Highforge in there with your hero, and your hero is the class Rune Priest, then it will start with 50% mana. The Shaman does start with 50% mana as long as you have the third trait here. All allied Tauros start battles with 50% mana, so not only does it start with 50%, but all of that troop type as well. Moving on to Sorcerer. The Sorcerer has no traits or talents that allows it to start at 50% mana. I believe it's considered as undead. Nope, it's Daemon. And I don't believe there's any support troops for Daemons to start at 50% mana. If there ever is one released, then that will change that. Sun Spear is a Raksha, which there is no way for Rakshas to start at 50% mana. And this does not have traits or talents to start at 50% mana either. What this particular class would probably be used for most is for, once this is traded here, Heat Wave. It'll start a Firestorm at the start of every turn, which can be useful for certain troops that need red mana or spells that are boosted by a Firestorm. Moving on to Thief. Thief definitely starts with 50% mana. It has, once you trait the second one, start battles 50% mana. And it also has, once you trait this, deal 7 damage to the last enemy on 4 or 5 matches. So that can be pretty devastating if you have a troop like one of the troll troops that doubles the a particular color on the board. It will match a lot of 4 and 5 matches and do a lot of damage to the last enemy. So the Thief is actually pretty powerful because it starts with 50% mana and has all of that. Moving on to the Titan, which is by most considered to be the best class in the game for several reasons, which I could go over a few of those real quick, but it does start with 50% mana, and it in fact makes all giants start with 50% mana, which does make it pretty powerful because all of the trolls are giants, I believe, and the troll troops are the troops that double a particular color on the board, so that is awesome for mana generation. And really quick, as far as talents go, it has Impact, which inflicts stun, and stun basically removes the traits on a troop for a little bit of time, which can be pretty devastating to some troops that rely upon their traits to be really powerful. It has right here Rock Solid at level 40, which is one of the best traits that any hero class could have, because it gains barrier when matching brown gems. So especially with a weapon like Mountain Crusher that explodes brown gems, you will get a lot of matching brown gems every time it explodes, and you'll gain barrier. And what barrier does is it blocks any amount of damage that is done to it except for transform, I believe. Transform it doesn't get blocked by barrier, unfortunately, but if you're going in high delve battles and you have barrier on your hero at the top, it'll block like 300, 400, 1,000 damage, and so that really is a powerful skill. It also has Lightning Strike, which explodes 1 yellow gem on 4 or 5 matches, which keeps the board moving and mana going to your troops. And then at level 100, it has Fortitude, which is an immune to stun, poison, disease, death mark, and devour. So that's really powerful. So the Titan hero is pretty powerful. Now let's go on to the Warden. Now the Warden doesn't have anything of itself, no traits, no talents, that allows it to start at 50% mana, but it's in a similar situation to the Priest and the Rune Priest because the Warden is considered a beast, troop type beast. So I already have this troop in here, so it'll be easy. All beasts start with 50% mana, so as long as you have Forest Guardian fully traded and you have it in your lineup with your hero, and if your hero is selected as Warden, it will give your Warden 50% mana right at the beginning of the battle. Now, Warlord doesn't have any traits or talents that makes it start at 50% mana, and at this point, it's really a useless class, probably one of the most useless classes because the class type is Giant, which why not just use Titan, which is far superior? It starts with 50% mana. All of your Giants start with 50% mana, and you get the Rock Solid, and you get Fortitude, and you get some of those talents that are really fantastic. So I don't even know why Warlord exists, honestly. Now, War Priest, which is the newest class that they released, does not start with 50% mana, but it's in a similar situation to the Warden Priest and Rune Priest because its class type is human. And so if you have the legendary card, oops, let me go in here. I need to do a search here. We'll just go to human because the legendary card is a human card. I believe it's Saint Astra, which is a really powerful card. One of the most powerful support legendaries in the game. I don't want spell effect. I want rarity here. Holy Saint Astra. So all humans start battle with 50% mana. So if you have this in with your hero class, and your hero class is the War Priest here, the War Priest will start with 50% mana. And if you trade it, it does reduce damage from skulls by 40%, has a 50% chance to stun a random enemy at the start of my battle, which can be useful. As far as talents, doesn't have anything that's really super fantastic that I've seen yet. But yeah, if you include the Saint Astra card in with it, it will start at 50% mana. And the Saint Astra is one of the best legendary support cards in the game because it gives life, 18 life, as boosted by magic. So if you have any magic boosting other cards that can get higher than that, but gives 18 life and armor to all allies, and it creates a light storm, and then it enchants all humans. So for example, Tesla is another legendary card, and it's a human legendary card, and its damage is based on all armor. So if you have Tesla and you have this card, that makes a pretty powerful combination. But now I'm going off topic here. This was supposed to be a video about hero classes and which ones start with 50% mana. So I believe that sums it up. Those are all the classes that start with 50% mana. And thanks for watching, guys. Take care.